There is a strange, liminal loneliness to working the drive-through window of a fast food joint at 3 in the morning. The world outside the glass is pitch black, illuminated only by the harsh orange glow of the menu board. My name is Marcus. I've worked the graveyard shift at a highway diner for 2 years. Usually the late-night crowd consists of tired truck drivers or teenagers looking for cheap food. You get used to the quiet engine hums and the standard groggy voices crackling through the intercom headset. But last Tuesday, the air inside the booth went completely freezing. It was raining heavily, thick sheets of water blurring the view of the empty parking lot. At 3:14 a.m., a loud, sharp beep rang in my headset, signaling someone had pulled up to the speaker box. I leaned toward the microphone. "Welcome to the diner. Place your order whenever you're ready." Silence. No engine noise, just a heavy, dead static vibrating inside my ears and humming in the back of my skull. "Hello," I repeated, tapping the receiver. "Can I take your order?" A voice finally cut through the static. It belonged to a child, but the cadence was entirely wrong. It was flat, perfectly monotone, and chillingly polite. "We do not have any money," the voice said. The intercom picked up a faint, secondary voice whispering the exact same words in perfect synchronization, like an echo. "We are cold. Please let us inside. We just need to use the phone." A cold knot tightened deep in my stomach. "The dining room is closed," I said, looking up at the tiny, low-resolution camera monitor. "I can't let anyone inside the building. If you're lost, I can call the police for you." "No police," the voice snapped back instantly with a sudden, aggressive authority that made me jump. Then, just as quickly, it smoothed back down into that polite tone. "Please, it is very cold. Just open the window. Let us in." I stared intensely at the security monitor. The camera view was heavily distorted by the running rain, but I could make out 2 small silhouettes standing right on the concrete drive-through lane. They weren't in a car. They were on foot, standing side by side under the pouring rain, wearing plain, oversized gray hoodies, with their faces tilted downward toward the wet pavement. Before I could say anything else, the audio feed on my headset went completely dead. At the exact same second, the 2 figures moved. They glided forward with an unnatural, fluid speed, appearing instantly right outside my drive-through sliding window. I stumbled backward, dropping my headset onto the stainless steel counter. The 2 children stood behind the glass. They looked to be no older than 10, their skin a pale, sickly, translucent white. But it was their eyes that froze the blood in my veins. They had no whites, no irises, no pupils. Their eyes were solid, glossy, pitch-black voids that seemed to swallow the light of the kitchen. The boy on the left reached up, knocking on the glass with a slow, rhythmic cadence. His knuckles sounded impossibly hard, like stone striking the pane. "Our parents are coming," he said, his voice echoing clearly right through the sealed glass window. "But we cannot enter unless you tell us it is okay. Just say we can come in." The air in my throat felt like ice. I knew the urban legends of the black-eyed children. If you invite them in, you vanish. The girl began to smile, a wide, unnatural grin that stretched too far across her pale face. She joined in the knocking, her small hand smacking the window. The glass began to violently rattle. An intense, overwhelming urge to slide the window open washed over me like a wave of sudden dizziness. My hand moved toward the latch entirely on its own, pulled by a terrifying, hypnotic command. "Just let them in," a voice in my head whispered. Just open it. My fingers touched the cold plastic of the latch. I began to slide it open. Suddenly, a loud, deafening air horn blasted from the highway entrance. A massive injection of high-beam headlights from an 18-wheeler flooded the window with brilliant white light. The hypnotic fog in my brain broke instantly. I pulled my hand back, falling hard to the floor. When I crawled up to look out the window a second later, the lane was completely empty. The two children were gone, leaving nothing behind on the wet concrete, but two perfectly dry, footprint-shaped patches where they had been standing. I never worked the night shift anymore, but sometimes, when I'm driving alone on a dark highway and the rain starts to fall, I look in my rearview mirror, because I know they are still out there on the dark roads, looking for an open window.